Hey, what's up, you guys? The Dark Center back with another video, and today we're going to take a look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Dark Knight Returns Classic Suit Batman. Before we get started, I'd like to ask you guys if you feel so inclined to please like and subscribe. It really does help my channel, and is absolutely free. Taking a look packaging over here is pretty much the exact same thing that we've seen with all their DC Multiverse single card figures. You got 22 moving parts at the top, McFarlane Toys, a nice giant window box along with the collector card and base. Those are kind of within the packaging, so whenever you tear them off, it's going to ruin the packaging. I'm not a fan of doing that. You've seen what the collector cards look like, and the typical McFarlane Toys bases, so that's what's included in there. You have DC Multiverse on the front, Batman at the side. You got Batman, Dark Knight Returns, DC Multiverse, along with McFarlane Toys at the bottom. One of boxing tunes along their side, DC Multiverse, Batman, DC Universe Infinite, and at the back over here, you got a nice large image of the Dark Knight Returns Frank Miller Batman. Batman Dark Knight Returns at the top. You got McFarlane Toys over there. You got DC Universe Infinite again, along with McFarlane Toys and their different socials information. Then at the top, you got the window box into along with a bunch of other legalese on the bottom and the UPC code. Take a look at this Batman figure over here, and what can I say? Frank Miller's Batman is such an iconic look for Batman. The Dark Knight Returns did a wonder for the character, bringing it on to a more darker kind of approach for Batman. I see what you did there, Frank Miller. But yeah, the Dark Knight Returns comic book has been, an absolutely monumental comic when it comes to Batman. It's absolutely changed, his whole appearance of being like a more darker, more brooding character. And one of my favorite designs in that comic was obviously this classic blue and gray suit, and I'm really glad that McFarlane came over here and decided to do that look as well too, even though there's a lot of reuse in this figure, because I did really like that design, especially that they decided to add a wired cape with it, as the previous one had, the plastic cape going on and all that type of stuff. But yeah, it's really cool looking figure over here. Absolutely love the classic design. As for accessories over here, we can see it does come with a fair amount. As for hands, he's got 3 different pairs. There's one pair that's both fisted hands for the left and right. There's a pair of grabby hands, and then also a pair of open hands. One is kind of like a relaxed kind of open hand, while the other is more like a karate chopping kind of pose. Then obviously he does come with his batarang attached to the rope. And this is something that we've seen in other Dark Knight Returns figures, and it's great to see it here as well too. Taking out the figure itself over here, and I do think that they did a really good job, even considering that this is, a reuse of a previous figure. The blue just looks absolutely fantastic on this Batman over here. I really like the color blue that they picked for this. It's very accurate to the comic. And this head sculpt over here, we did see last year with the McFarlane cover recreations. And yeah, to see it in color now is just absolutely fantastic. Very much just look like Frank Miller's artwork. We do have the symbol over here, and this isn't really a classic kind of Batman symbol. This is kind of a mix between the Dark Knight Returns and, the yellow oval kind of look, and I do like this a lot. There were some previous figures that did have this original, blue and gray kind of look. I have one from Mattel that'll show in a little bit, but it did have like a more classic looking logo, and I think having this over here where it's a bit more of a fatter bat symbol, as, we come to know the Dark Knight Returns logo as, it really does give the look more character. So I do appreciate that there, even though it is kind of just printed on. But, it's spandex suit, whatever, it's all good. But yeah, the rest of the suit over here is pretty much using the exact same look as the previous one. You do have all the wrinkles going on with the more beefy kind of looking body. But yeah, you can see over here, there's a porthole in the back. Now, I don't have the original McFarlane cover recreations, but I think that has something to do with it. Let me know in the comments down below if you are aware of this, but I otherwise don't know what this is from. You know what might be from is the fact that this figure, or this mold, originally had a plastic cape. Maybe the cape had a port that went in there. That's probably what it was. But anyway, if you know, let me know in the comments below. Yeah, you have all the wrinkles going over here. Very beefy looking Batman, and the gloves too. I love the kind of classic kind of hybrid between the two, with all the wrinkles, and the fins look great there as well too. Yeah, I never had the original Dark Knight Returns McFarlane Batman, but I always loved this design with all the wrinkles going on. They really knocked it out of the park with the look of this figure over here. You got the belt over here too, that iconic Dark Knight Returns belt, where it doesn't really have kind of like a belt buckle to it. It's all just pouches and pouches upon pouches, which is great. You got the trunks over here too, which look pretty nice. I like the contrast to the gray over here. And then obviously more wrinkles going on with the legs and the boots. Oh, look at the boots there too. Yeah, very much a Dark Knight Returns kind of look with the beefiness and all the wrinkles going on throughout it. Yeah, very nice. You see there's no treads at the bottom, but you do have two pegels at the bottom of the feet there. And one thing I did not take a look at is this wired cape. You know, we've come to learn and love the McFarlane wired capes over here, and this is no exception. It is a little bit too shiny for my liking in comparison to the look, but overall, I think they did a pretty good job with it. Yeah, I really do like this a lot. Very nice color that they picked over here, and obviously this does have the wire going all throughout it, so you can do a bunch of cool different poses. As for articulation, if you do have the original Dark Knight Returns Batman, you kind of know what you're getting over here. The head does move up about that much. It can move down, move side to side. You got a bit of pivot going on in there as well, which is pretty nice. You got arm articulation over here along with a butterfly joint, so you can move up about there. You can move down. You can move somewhat in, somewhat out, up, down. No bicep swivel, but there is a swivel in the elbow over here, and then a single jointed elbow. So yeah, very dated body book. Only goes about 90 degrees there. But that's okay. I think that the sculpting looks really nice on this guy. A swivel at the hand, and you do have a hinge, and you can move it around as you like because it's on a ball peg. So yeah, really nice over there. And you do have a diaphragm joint along with a waist joint in here. So you can move down together around there. You can move back pretty far there. And he can move to the side about there. And then the other side about there. And he does kick forward about that much. He can kick back and on an angle. It has those dreaded McFarlane joints, but if you want to do the splits, can go about there. And he does have a thigh swivel in here, which is pretty nice, except I can't get mine to move. For whatever reason, it wants to move this top joint here as opposed to that thigh, but it is there. There's a thigh cut there. And you do have double jointed knees, which move in about that far. And again, I think, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just the bulkiness of the figure, but I do think, you know, that could be a bit better there. But then you do also have some foot articulation, which is down, up, and a pivot. And then you do have a toe hinge at the toe right there as well, too. As for comparison today, I do have the McFarlane Dark Knight Returns Batman next to the original Mattel Dark Knight Returns Batman on the left over here. And yeah, huge difference between the two, not just in height, but you can see in terms of detailing and overall body proportions, just night and day difference with McFarlane. I think I think there's more quality going on with their figure over here. But you know, it is what I've seen, you know, the new Mattel figures come out, and I've seen people starting to review them, the basic versions of them, and I don't know, I'm still going to reserve my opinions on it. I want to see what the collector's wave is going to look like first, and I may pick up one of those when they do end up coming out, just to, you know, compare it to all the McFarlane style figures. But at least with this, you know, yeah, come on, man, I pick this figure over any day. They both can't stand. But yeah, again, also too, I did mention it earlier, this look did use the classic kind of logo over here, which, yeah, like I think it was okay for the time, but I do think this was the way to go for the more Dark Knight Returns-esque look. So yeah, by far, really like this figure a lot more than the Mattel version. But if you did want to compare this figure to some figures they have at home, you can see over here that it does stand at 7 inches tall. All right, so final thoughts on this Dark Knight Returns Batman figure. I personally like this, okay? I went into it knowing that this was my favorite design from the Dark Knight Returns comic book, and seeing McFarlane actually went ahead and did it, I was like, okay, I gotta buy this day one because, you know, it's such a cool look, at least in my opinion. I love the contrast between, you know, the more classic looking, happy, campy, go lucky Batman to the more grizzled, dark, type of look that Frank Miller is known for. And yeah, I absolutely love it. I think McFarlane did a great job with this. With that said, it's a lot of reuse in here, and I mean a lot. It's pretty much the original Dark Knight Returns Buck, just pulled and brought into here. The only like real new addition to it is the wired cape. So in reality, if you don't really care so much for this design in the comic book, you're not really missing much over here. But for me personally, I do really like how this figure looks here. But yeah, so proportions, as the original Frank Miller Batman that McFarlane put out, the Dark Knight Returns Batman. It's pretty good. I love the detailing on it, all the different wrinkles going throughout, the beefiness of the figure. I love the addition of the wired cape as well too, as opposed to the sculpted cape from previously as well. And I also do like the new head sculpt on it. More brooding kind of looking Batman, just straightforward. And I also do like the fact that he comes with the original accessories that he had as well too, and that McFarlane did not skip out on that either. But yeah, articulation, yes, it's kind of dated. So I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of that. But overall, I think this was a pretty good offering, and as I said, I'm quite happy with this purchase over here. That being said, if I were to give this figure a rating, I would probably stick with a 7 out of 10. I think it's well deserving. There's not enough new here for me to go like, oh yeah, this is a straight 10 out of 10 figure, but it's great. It's great that they came back to it and they did this new kind of look for him with that original old design. But as I said, if you personally don't really care for that, or if you think your favorite Dark Knight Returns look is the black and the gray, there's no point to getting this. Yeah, that's about it. I don't really have much else to say about it. I'm happy with it for me personally. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Let me know what you thought about this figure. Let me know what you thought about my review. And as every YouTuber begs you to do, please like and subscribe. And hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.